Welcome to the show, folks. Today, we're diving into that wild, satirical expose about America's coal conundrum, Trump's coal train to nowhere, where a 60-year-old coal plant gets pulled back from retirement, costing up to $100 million, clogging roads, and sparking a ghostly political debate from 1962.
Wow, that's quite the story. So we're talking about an old coal plant, right? And it's just, resurrected by a government order despite the whole grid moving on?
Exactly. It's like, imagine this. A plant that's been out to pasture, all ready to retire with its coal-themed cupcakes and farewell celebrations, suddenly gets yanked back on stage by an emergency executive order. And not because it's needed, but because someone just loves coal so much they refuse to let go.
Right. It's like holding on to a relic from another era just for the sake of nostalgia, isn't it?
Absolutely. They even call it the zombie coal plant, like it's been fated never to truly die. And then there's the kicker. Keeping it running for just 90 days might, or could, run you up to $100 million. And that cost gets, passed directly to the taxpayers in 15 states, so everyone gets that extra punch on their electricity bill.
So, let me get this straight. We're paying millions of dollars just to keep this old, inefficient plant on life support because of, what? A vague fear of a power shortage?
Right on. It's almost absurd. Authorities hinted at a potential power crunch in the Midwest, but it was, more of a maybe, possibly, potentially thing. It's like, when someone says, there might be a storm coming, and then you carry an umbrella all day, even when there's not a single cloud in the sky.
Yeah, it's that kind of decision-making. And then there's the daily drama with those coal trains, right?
Oh, totally. Instead of simply flipping a switch to continue with cleaner, modern options, like natural gas or renewables, we're dragging in these, massive coal trains from Colorado. Picture this. 2 gigantic trains, each with over 100 cars, storming into Holland, Michigan every day. They become these freight, death snakes, blocking every intersection like a fossil fuel parade.
That really paints a picture. It's almost cinematic, but in a really inconvenient way for the locals.
Absolutely. Imagine, you're late for work, trying to squeeze through, and bam, there they are, stopping traffic and serving as a daily reminder of a failed energy policy. And it's not even helping with cost efficiency.
And speaking of cost efficiency, doesn't coal cost more now than solar, wind, or natural gas?
Yes, exactly. Coal has turned into the most expensive large-scale energy source available today. It's quite ironic, really. Doug Lewin, an energy expert, pointed out that Americans end up paying around $6.2 billion extra in 2024 to keep these coal plants running versus just switching to renewables. It's like choosing an expensive, outdated car over a sleek, fuel-efficient ride.
Right, and the cost is, well, kind of staggering for a fuel source that's faced for decades now. But I gotta ask, doesn't it seem a bit odd to insist on coal? I mean, isn't it just, emblematic of a reluctance to embrace progress?
I totally agree with you there. And here's where it gets really interesting. At a CERAWeek conference, Trump's energy secretary, Chris Wright, basically told everyone, there's no way wind, solar, or batteries can really replace natural gas, oil, or, even coal. It's less a technical analysis and more like, a personal dislike for the new kids on the block.
Right, so it almost feels like it's more about ideology than actual practicality.
Exactly. And meanwhile, check out Texas, which is, operating at over 90% renewable new grid power over the last 4 years. They're, managing increased demand smoothly and keeping prices low. Yet, here we are with a system that drags an old coal plant out of retirement just to satisfy a bit of coal nostalgia and political stubbornness.
It's a stark contrast. Modernize and save money, or stick with the same old dance with disaster. So what do the locals and officials in Michigan think about it?
Now that's a juicy bit. Michigan's Attorney General, Dana Nessel, is furious and even considering legal
Yeah.
action. Can you imagine? She's practically saying, we never thought we'd have to sue a zombie coal plant, and she's worried this emergency order might actually raise electricity rates, thus defeating the purpose of closing it in the first place.
That's definitely a point to ponder. I mean, if it costs so much and causes so many headaches, why not just let it rest?
Right, and it's like, the plant is so old that Michigan officials even worried that if they shut it off permanently, it might never be able to power back on again. Kind of like turning off a worn-out oxygen machine on your grandpa, only to realize, uh-oh, did we just pull the plug on his backup?
Mm-hmm. That analogy really brings it home. It's both hilarious and tragic at the same time.
Totally. And then there's the absurdity of the whole, situation. The utility, Consumers Energy, had already invested in a modern natural gas plant to replace this old plant. They had everything lined up, grid capacity secured, transition underway. But then, instead of flipping that switch for progress, the plan gets flipped on its head because of what you could loosely call vibes and coal superstition.
Exactly. So instead of a smooth transition to cleaner energy, we end up with, a clunky relic dragging along expired coal shipments. It's almost like a bad breakup that just keeps dragging on.
Exactly that. It's like the plant literally said, I'm done. The state said, thank you for your service. And the utility said, we already, planned better. But then suddenly, Energy Secretary Chris Wright steps in and goes, but what if we just don't let go?
Yeah. It really is a case of, if you love something, you just can't let it go, no matter how outdated or expensive it is.
Right, and that line is repeated throughout the narrative. It's as if the reverence for coal is so strong that policy decisions now orbit around this outdated relic. The ghost of 1962 is haunting modern energy debates, like a poltergeist attached to the tracks of these massive coal trains.
Mm-hmm. And those coal trains, man, they aren't even cute. Just endless parade floats of environmental and logistical nightmares rolling in every day.
Yep, every day, 2 giant 100-plus car trains arrive in Michigan, not just transporting coal, but also delivering a daily dose of frustration and gridlock. It's like urban planning meets a fossil fuel flashback.
Right. And then, to top it off, we have people who are actually footing the bill for this mess through their higher electricity rates. It's almost comical how instead of investing in renewables, we invest more in old-school coal policies.
Exactly. And the satire in this whole piece turns political absurdity into renewable laughs. It's like, if you don't want your electric bill to double as a ticket to daily traffic jams and coal smoke, maybe it's time to hit that subscribe button for a dose of common
indeed.
sense.
You know, sometimes I wonder if the decision makers are stuck in a time warp, clinging to obsolete technology because, well, it's familiar.
Totally. It's like they're intentionally channeling the ghost of 1962. I mean, seriously. Why invest in a cleaner, cheaper future when you can just keep the train and the coal rolling just because it feels nostalgic?
Now, I get nostalgia and sentiment sometimes, but this seems like a deliberate choice to reject innovation. Could it be a case of political theater rather than actual energy strategy?
That's a really valid point. I mean, look at the numbers. When you pay $6.2 billion more across the country to keep these outdated plants humming, it's hard not to see it as an ideological stance, a sort of defiance against modernity.
Yeah, absolutely. It feels like a calculated move to signal allegiance to an old guard rather than a careful, data-driven energy policy.
Precisely. And that brings us back to the underlying theme. The clash between outdated practices and modern technology, all dressed up in political rhetoric. Instead of embracing renewable energy like Texas, we're stuck watching coal, of all things, clog up our intersections in our
Right.
policy debates.
It's almost laughable if it weren't so costly and so disruptive. But hey, sometimes reality is stranger than fiction.
Absolutely. And as we close, remember this. While the ghost of coal past keeps the engines running, The future of energy is clearly charging ahead with clean, efficient technology. Yet here we are, paying a premium for a ticket to ride on a train that just won't fade away.
It's a cautionary tale, really. A reminder that sometimes clinging to the past can seriously derail progress. Thanks for the engaging discussion. Always great to see policy absurdity, dissected with a dose of humor and hard facts.
Indeed, thanks for tuning in, everyone. Remember, progress might get derailed by coal, but common sense should always be on track. Stay thoughtful out there.